What's up, everyone? This is, I guess, kind of not necessarily a tutorial. This is not necessarily a how-to, but what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to be swapping out my iPac 4 for one of these new Pacto T4000 units. These items are for sale. I did not get this given to me. I did not get any discounts. I bought this retail, so this will be kind of a show and go. I did get the board. I got the mini screen to be able to show us what input it's in, some cords, and then the twin stick add-on and the dongle for swapping from X input on the control panel to X input on wireless controllers. So what does this do? This takes these controls from an actual keyboard, which this is set up for with the iPad, and now it is going to be swapped to Xbox controllers. So X input's going to work just out of the gate. I don't have to use software or anything to arcade X input swap over for those PC games. It's just automatically going to think that I have Xbox controllers plugged in, which should be a lot less, how should we say, confusing, or a lot more straightforward when it comes to controls. And so I'm looking forward to doing this, and yeah, this is just going to kind of be a run through on what I did, not necessarily a tutorial or a how-to. Alright, so here we go. Let's start taking this thing apart, if I can. Now that I've had the Pacto 4000T installed for a little while, I figured I'd take a few moments to go over some of the features that it offers, some of the things I've learned, and maybe some of the helpful hints that aren't really laid out super well in the literature, but they're there, but you got to do a little bit of digging. So I'll just go over a couple of those things. All right, so here we are. Now, the default X input control panel layout, if you chose to get one of these OLED screens, this is going to be what it shows. This is the default setup for analog fast, meaning you're going to move fast on the control sticks, like it's pressing one way or the other way fast. No turbo. 2-player, which means that player 1 and player 2 are the centers. And if you look at it, it says 3, 1, 2, 4. That's the layout on the panel. So this is 3, 1, 2, 4. So that's what this setup is, and there are ways to adjust to other features from this X input main control panel setup by pressing various different combinations of buttons. So now here we are again, and I'm going to kind of talk about some of those different modes that you can get to from this gamepad mode ready button. There are some quick select buttons that we have here. For instance, if you want to switch it to slow analog from here, you would press and hold the player 1 start button for 8 seconds. So that's an example. Or if you want to switch to that other game mode where this ends up being player 1, player 2, player 3, and player 4, if you wanted to swap to that, you would just end up holding the player 2 start button for 8 seconds, and it would swap this board to that layout as well. That's just an example. Also for twin stick mode, you press and hold player 3 start. So on this layout, it would be that one for 8 seconds, and it will change it and tell you that it's in twin stick mode as an example. This is all in the literature. You can print it out where they have basically like a hot swap button list, but you got to dig into there. Like this is page 14 and it bleeds into page 15 for the hot swap buttons. The good part about that is you actually have the option to wire in those options as well. So you can create a toggle switch to switch directly into those modes from just the flip of a switch or the press of a button. Now, speaking of the switch of a button, one of the fun things here is these are acting like, so now your PC thinks these are wired Xbox controllers. But let's just say you want to actually use a wireless controller. How would you do that? Well, what I did is actually wired in a disconnect button into the Pacto board, and there it is right there. So when I press this button here, it resets the Pacto. Let's see if I can get it to set up for you. And then it counts down from 8 seconds. Basically, it's disconnecting all of this from the PC, and then it's in, this is the disconnect mode, which is in gamepads ready and keyboard mode. So technically, this is acting like a keyboard buttons now. So if you're used to an iPad or something along those lines, this is going to work very similar in this mode. However, when you turn on an Xbox controller, it's going to immediately find that as Xbox controller 1 and then Xbox controller 2 and work all the way through it there. But that's the cool part about that. And now if I want to swap it back, when it's in this mode, it doesn't matter which start button you press, but you press and hold one of the start buttons down for 8 seconds, and then you will, it'll do that iPack reset again. So we'll just sit here for a second, and there you go. So the Pacto resets like that, and it counts down to 8 seconds again, and it's going to go back to that default control panel X input layout. There it is. Let's see if I can get it to, Jesus, so bad. There you go. All right, I love this thing, and I'm looking forward to messing around with it a little bit more. It's a pretty amazing system, and it is very easy to use, works great for any newer PC games because it just finds the Xbox controllers. There's no worrying about it jumping all over the place or any of that kind of stuff, so it's pretty awesome. Anyways, I'm looking forward to messing around with it a little bit more, and I'll see you guys a little later.